Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome to another episode of the NullNVoid podcast, where our insanity is your hilarity. As always, I'm Aaron.
Emmanuel.
And we are Team Null. Once again, 2/3 of it. So, as before, I have to explain the elephant in the room. Tristan's not here again. No, he's not fired. No, we are no longer friends. And no, everything's fine.
But applications are open.
Yes, applications are open. We're always looking for guests. But no, it's a combination of two things. One, this is more of a direct follow-up to our previous episode where we're mostly going to be talking about movies. Tristan's not really a movie guy, and to our knowledge, he hasn't seen any of the movies we're going to talk about. And the second reason is Tristan's currently in like the finals week of his college term. So we're just going to, we're just allowing him time to focus on that. And once all is said and done, he'll be back for the next episode.
Probably the Christmas special.
Probably. We'll see. But as before, I have to put the same disclaimer. This episode will contain spoilers for the movies we are talking about. Some of these movies are available via streaming services, but again, they're still mostly new. So listen at your own caution. We will try to give you a spoiler warning, but we can't give you a time code for when spoilers will show up. So if you don't want to be spoiled, just listen at caution and jump ship when you think it's correct. Also, the other disclaimer, if I have to talk about a movie or if we have to talk about a movie that's more than 2 years old and you haven't seen it yet, we cannot give you a spoiler warning.
True.
Okay, so we all good?
Yeah.
All right, so like I said, this will be a direct follow-up from the previous episode. And in that last episode, the three movies we saw that we talked about were Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and Eternals.
Yes.
All right, so we're not going to talk about them in that order, if only because we saw them out of order. So the first movie we'll talk about is Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
The oldest one that I think it's been like a month, maybe. I don't know.
More or less. It came out
in October. While.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
All right, so this movie is very odd to talk about.
Yeah. Not enough carnage. I mean, gore-wise, yes, but like not enough. Actually, no, not even, because it's PG-13. So like,
yeah, but for PG-13, it still handled some of the violence in a way that still feels like it would be carnivorous and carnage-full if it was R-rated, but didn't show like all the aftermath of it because it is PG-13.
Yeah, they should have just gone the Suicide Squad route, made it rated R, and made that carnage super good.
Yeah, but as you can see, that is the leading problem with the film. This film is called Let There Be Carnage, and Carnage doesn't really have much of a character here.
Yeah, he's not in it very often for some reason. I don't know.
No, but that's also the thing. Okay, so as I said before, I read comic books, so I have knowledge of most of these characters, and I can say that Carnage is very one note. He and his host, Cletus Cassidy, are basically one and the same, so I guess his lack of character makes sense. But Carnage also has a hatred for Venom that is somewhat explained in the comics. And here he just hates Venom because plot.
Yeah, pretty much. They never get into it like super detailed.
No. Then again, I feel like another thing with this movie regarding Carnage is he's here and that's cool. But at the same time, he's not here enough to make it feel like it's worth having him in the title.
Yeah, for sure. He felt like a secondary villain despite being the only villain. Well, actually, was he the only? No, he was, like the only
essentially,
villain.
Yes. Cletus, Cassidy, and Carnage are the main villain. Like, oh, wait, there was Shriek. Okay, we'll talk about her in a bit. So, if anything, let's do a direct comparison between this movie and the first one.
Well, I liked it a lot more, to be honest.
All right. I
mean, it was, I don't know, it felt really, I think I remember saying it felt like super short or something like. It felt really fast paced, but like not in a good way. Like it just felt like it ended pretty fast.
Yeah, I will say the first third of it is like super fast. Like the best comparison I can give it is to The Rise of Skywalker, and where the first half is just really rushed. It's just getting shit out constantly at a rapid pace, and it just feels disorienting after a while. But that's for the whole movie as well. Like you really notice it in the first half, or at least the first third, and then like once you notice it again in the middle and towards the end, it's like, damn, this movie's fast paced for no real reason.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I did like it more, mainly because I think the main thing that like really makes the Venom movie so far good, in my opinion, is like the dynamic that Venom and Eddie have. And I think this one has a lot more of that because, you know, in the first movie, you gotta establish like the relationship. So I mean, for me, it was pretty fun seeing their toxic relationship and then
I will say
working
that
it out.
I'm going to agree with you there. They do have a more defined relationship. Though I've also heard people say that it's kind of annoying that it feels like they're just a married couple kind of relationship, which I understand. But given if you were in Eddie's shoes, you'd be annoyed out your mind by this thing too.
Yeah. I mean, I could see the complaint though, but I liked it, to be honest. I like the dynamic.
Yeah, it is better. But like, I feel like that's also the second problem with the film. It's kind of devoted to mostly Eddie and Venom bickering. And then we have a whole portion of the movie where Eddie and Venom are not together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it felt needed though to like, help them resolve their issues. But
there's a common movie thing called the third act fight or the third act split, except that happened in the second act.
Mm-hmm.
And then Venom has a coming out party, which I just kind of find hilarious.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, it was awkward and a bit dumb, but it still was funny.
It was enjoyable, to be honest.
Yeah, but if anything, that's the highlights we have for the characters of Eddie and Venom, both played by Tom Hardy, respectively. Now, let's actually get into more of the main villain, or should I say villains, but really, again, it's mostly one. We have Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, and I suppose he's also playing Carnage. I didn't really check, but to my knowledge, if Tom Hardy's playing both Venom and Eddie, I imagine he's Woody Harrelson's playing Cletus and Carnage at the same time. So here's the thing. Probably. We kind of have the same problem as the original film, where the human villain is really good, or at least he's mostly acceptable, and the symbiote villain is just not there.
Yeah. I mean, like even when Carnage was there, he wasn't there like being like a menace, to be honest. He felt like he didn't feel threatening enough.
Definitely not. Well, I wouldn't say he didn't feel threatening enough. It just, there wasn't enough time devoted to make him more of a threat than he actually was perceived as.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a better way of putting it.
Yeah. I feel like, okay, I'm going to slightly compare this to Snake Eyes, which is the best thing I could do for it at this moment. With this, we do get a good focus on that human villain. We get a focus on Cletus and why he is the way he is. And yet, the stuff involving Shriek, I'm not entirely sure of. I know Shriek is a lover of Carnage, but that's as far as my knowledge went. But most everything else about Cletus is pretty on par. I will admit that.
Okay.
All right. Now, just regarding Shriek, she is just here.
Yeah, essentially.
Which I can't say if that's a good thing or a bad thing, since I don't know the character that well. But regarding this film itself, she is a central plot point to Cletus, and that's just kind of it. And then towards the end, they try to use that against him just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Though at the same time, I feel like that was predictable, since Shriek has a power that is basically a symbiote's main weakness. That's also another thing I want to complain about with this film. They keep reminding you that symbiotes are weak to sound and fire. Like the first time, I get it. You're naturally reminding people who may have forgot, but the other like 3-4 times, you're just kind of, okay, we got it. We don't need any more. Stop reminding us.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I will admit, I kind of did dig the idea that Cletus is the one that cares about Shriek, whereas Carnage will not hesitate to drop her like a bad habit. Yeah, but outside of that, Shriek is just kind of here to be a love interest and ensue in the chaos that is our two main villains. But other than that, she just doesn't have much else going for her.
Yeah, I mean, she is kind of like the motivation, isn't she? Like
pretty much, but that's where it really begins and where it ends. Because like afterwards, after he's gotten her, they go about their gallivanting in the most chaotic romance way ever. But then, her existence just kind of, or at least her affection for Cletus tends to piss off Carnage. And then there's the divide between the two. And it just felt like there wasn't really much to do with her outside of just being a love interest. Like she was supposed to be a villain, but she doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of love interest, Eddie's ex-girlfriend, fiance, I'm not entirely sure how to describe her, but
I think
his ex is in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, his ex is also in this film. She's aware that Venom's back. And again, I will say my complaint about the first movie is that it doesn't feel like she's giving it her all. Like it never felt like she ever changed her facial expression. That's improved a bit, but at the same time, her role in this film feels like it's just enough, but it still could be more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember the first one, to be honest. But like, I mean, I could see it. Like, I remember her face being very bland, to say, like, to put it, I guess bluntly.
Yeah, like the freakiest shit in the world is happening, and she has a stoic face, like no reaction whatsoever, which just feels unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if I'm remembering correctly, her name is Annie, or just Anne. But Anne as a character is pretty much just returning and slightly improving upon what she did before. She's more helpful to Eddie and more helpful to Venom. It's also shown that I remember in the first film, Venom said that he liked Anne, and this is more shown here because Anne is the one who convinces him to go back to Eddie.
Yeah, true. Yeah. The female Venom.
Oh yeah, she Venom. So
yes.
There's that. And her new boyfriend Dan is here.
Wasn't he in the first one?
He was in the first one, but like he's just honestly, I'd say his contributions to this film are about the same.
Again, I don't really remember the first one, but I feel like he did more this time. I don't know.
He did, but when I scale it, okay, it is a mass improvement because he's one of the people who says sound and fire. And yes, Dan, we remember, shut up. But outside of that, it's just like, I understand why he has to be here, but for the role he's in, it didn't have to be him. You could have made Anne do the same thing.
I suppose.
Okay, I feel like the last thing we could talk about is the other character in this film, the police detective. I don't remember his role. I just know he was a police officer.
Oh, yeah.
The character of Patrick Mulligan. Mm-hmm. And he's very much just the straight man cop in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the 100%. Yeah, he wants to find out what Cletus did with all the people he killed. Mm-hmm. He doesn't trust Eddie because Eddie is still like underwashed for the things that happened in the first film. And he just kind of keeps finding stuff out ahead of him, and that pisses him off naturally. And he also has a role in like Shriek's purpose in this film because he shot Shriek and that like took one of her eyes, and that's really it.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah,
pretty much. Also, I have to compare it to the comics. I know Patrick Mulligan as a character, why he's here. He's actually the host for the offspring of Carnage, known as Toxin. So I imagine if we get a third movie, which I don't know if it is or if it isn't happening, I imagine we would get Toxin in this film.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but outside of that, he very much, I say he's the character who serves his purpose the most.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Okay, so as you can see, I probably have the most conflicting thoughts of this film.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It could have been better, but, I found it enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what I'm like looking at right now. Like, even though my thoughts are conflicted, I did enjoy my time with it. This very much shares the same sentiment as the first movie, where it's not good, but it was an enjoyable time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like the only other thing we could talk about is probably the biggest spoiler, which is the end credit scene, or the mid credit scene.
Oh yes, the thing we all saw coming, I think.
I don't think we saw it coming. It's more if people were predicting it. And just like,
no, I saw it coming. I mean, I don't know if you did, but like I completely saw it coming. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I avoided those spoilers, but I'm like, all right, whatever happens, happens.
No, I just knew. Yeah. I just knew there was no way it wasn't gonna happen.
All right, so the mid credit scene. So the world just starts flipping out, and both Eddie and Venom are brought into the MCU, where they witness the reveal of Tom Holland, his Spider-Man, get revealed to the world as Peter Parker. If you saw that in Far From Home.
Essentially. And yeah, it was fucking epic, as expected. It's about time. Again, saw it coming because, it felt like it was meant to happen eventually, so.
I guess, but like regarding the reveal itself, it was like really good. I feel like everyone loves the reveal more than they love the movie.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
That end credit scene really just
it really took you for a ride.
Really sealed the deal a little bit.
Yeah, but I feel like that's all we can really say about this movie. So, as per usual, what would you rate this out of 10?
I guess 7. Yeah, like a 7 is fine. 7 point, almost 7.5.
All right. I think I'm leaning morely towards like 5.5. For as much as I want to give it a 6, it has there's too many of those things that annoy me that keep it from being a 6. And I don't want to put it at a 5 because it does improve upon some things from the original. So 5.5 is what I'm going with.
All right. Sounds fair.
All right. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. It's very much like the original and has probably more problems. But other than that, if you watch it, you'll either come out enjoying yourself or you'll come out annoyed. It's all up to what you perceive when you watch it.
Yeah, honestly.
Speaking of perception and divisive viewings, the next movie we saw, Eternals.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, again, I feel like this one, it felt like one of those big scale Marvel movies, like Avengers, level. But I do think it was way too long. Like, you really felt the runtime towards the end of the movie.
Definitely.
You felt those last 30 minutes 100%.
Okay, so the thing about Eternals, or I'd say the thing that it has going for it is this is so far the most different Marvel movie in terms of execution. It's slower paced. It dives into a bit of a section of the world that most fans are not familiar with.
True. I mean, I feel like most people wouldn't know.
No,
Eternals, just like...
Yeah. So again, as I referenced in the comics, the thing with the difference... Okay, what sets the Eternals apart from every other Marvel superhero is they were created with one purpose and one purpose only, that after the world evolved into the modern age, their purpose became kind of pointless. What I mean by that is very similar to the film. The Eternals were created to protect humans from the deviants.
Yeah.
But as humanity grew and evolved, they eventually, gained superpowers, formed teams, defended the world themselves. So the Eternals' purpose eventually became obsolete because humans could protect themselves.
True.
Yes. But so at that point, the major issue was getting people to stay interested in the Eternals.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And I'd say this movie, in terms of just what it did in its base reaction, that's also the biggest challenge it has at the moment. Just people remaining interested. Yeah. So I'm just gonna say it now, and I already know the divisive view on this film. I personally liked it.
I mean, yeah, I did too. Like, I'm not gonna say it was bad or anything. Like, I enjoyed it. It's just that they for sure could have trimmed the fat of the movie a little bit. Like, the whole deviant thing. Like, yes, it was essential to like understanding like what they are, but I feel like, okay, so like, spoiler warning, there's a deviant eventually like in the movie that comes out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere, like, right, literally. Like, we don't get an explanation of like where it came from.
Well, no, that's kind of the thing though.
We just saw Icarus with the pack, like, eventually.
Yeah, but if we directly go off the way they explain it in the film and a bit in the comics, the deviants were already on Earth. Just kind of, they mutated, became.
Oh, they just forgot. They just forgot like a couple, apparently.
Yeah, or at least.
No, I mean, like that group specifically came out of nowhere because they had supposedly killed them all off. So like,
supposedly, but I guess.
I guess they just missed a couple.
Well, that and the thing with genocide in fiction is that, do you really actually kill them all? Frieza claimed he killed all the Saiyans, and then Goku and Vegeta, Raditz, etc. still exist.
I mean, yeah, who checks?
Nobody,
honestly.
Apparently.
Nobody double taps.
No, but
amateurs,
of course. But anyways, yeah, the deviants just kind of come out of nowhere, and I guess the best way to continue on with that thought is a character. So another spoiler warning: two characters as two members of the Eternals, they die in this film.
Yes.
The first one is, or at least the first one we know of, is Ajax, played by Salma Hayek.
God bless that woman.
Yeah, she was like really good. But she was also pretty good in this role. She dies, and so does another character by the name of Gilgamesh.
Oh, best boy.
Yeah. Emmanuel is a Gilgamesh fanboy. I'll just say that now.
Yes.
Mostly because of Fate.
amongst other things. But yes,
Okay, but anyway, so when Gilgamesh dies, he is absorbed by the deviant that killed him, and the deviant kind of mutates and becomes more human-like, or at least he becomes more knowledgeable, more intellectual. But here's the thing: you could scrap his character from the film entirely and not miss anything.
yeah, 100%.
He felt very unnecessary.
He really did. He was like when you go back and like think about it, he was like pretty unnecessary to the story, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's because, okay, so I guess we'll break down the whole plot of this film. So we get a back and forth of the Eternals in both modern day and the lives they lived in the past as they helped human civilizations grow, how they kind of parted ways due to events happening and such. And we also see, again, the major purpose they serve and the being they work for. So that the thing with the Eternals is they serve a group of cosmic entities known as the Celestials. And the main Celestial they serve is named Arishem. So really, that's all they've been doing. That from the moment they've been created, that's all they did. That's all they served, etc. And they went on to live their own lives, but then the Deviants come back, and now the Eternals have to come back together. But behind the scenes, there's something much bigger, and I really mean that. So, okay, another spoiler warning. I'm trying to find the best way to lead into it, but I feel like just saying it is the only option I have.
Yes.
All right, so
Say it. Just say it.
Yeah, the Earth is pregnant.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, so the thing with the Celestials, in order to create more, they need intelligent life or just the life force of beings on a planet. So that's why they created the Deviants to protect humans from predators, but then they became the predators, and now the Celestials had to create the Eternals to protect them from the Deviants. And as life progressed and continued on, that kept I guess gestating and growing the Celestial inside of Earth. And Ajax directly says this when the events of Infinity War happened that wiped away half of all the population. That stopped the emergence of this new Celestial. And when they brought everyone back in Endgame, the clock just started ticking again. And now they have 7 days before the emergence can happen. So now the main purpose has gone from stopping the Deviants to stopping the emergence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, and I guess this is where the divide happens in some regard. Again, the major divide with this film is that it's so different from your typical MCU film that it can be a bit jarring. But with the idea of this film specifically, the main reason the Eternals are doing what they do is because they've seen humanity change. They've grown alongside them. And they don't want to see, them disappear. They don't want to see anyone die.
Yes.
However, there are a select few who are a bit too devoted to their cause of serving the Celestials. And here we enter Icarus.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get the elephant out the room again. Icarus has a lot of comparisons to Superman. And that's not me just saying it based off the footage. They actually reference that in the film.
Yeah, he pretty much is, basically.
Yeah. So, and again, the best direct comparison would be Zack Snyder's Superman. And a lot of people have a problem with Zack Snyder's Superman.
Yep.
Yeah. So Icarus eventually reveals that he killed Ajax and he wants to help the emergence happen.
Yes, because he's devoted to the cause.
Yeah, but then in the end, he doesn't go through with it because his love for another Eternal named Cersei is stronger than his devotion for Arishem. Which I guess is fine, but I can't sit here and say that's not cheesy as hell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but
it's the most cliche thing ever, to be honest.
All right, I feel like I jumped ahead. We probably should have looked into characters a bit more. So I guess before I continue there, let's go over the characters. We have Icarus, who we said is very Superman-like. And for the first half of the film, I do like him.
He was alright. I never like fully got into him.
No, I didn't like.
To,
he's not my favorite character by any means, and I'm not factoring in the stuff after like the turning point. I mean, just like he's not my favorite character in general. I do like his suit. That's another thing I'll get into later. But Icarus himself, he's not my favorite character. I did like most of the scenes he was in, especially when he's fighting. It's just super cool. But he's just not up there. I do think his character was in the first half fine. Then the twist happens, and I'm just like, okay, this is happening now. And then, he doesn't go through with it. I'm like, okay, so what the hell? And then it ends with him flying into the sun. So he's dead, but it's comic book dead. So it wouldn't surprise me if in another film he manages to come back.
Yes, somehow.
Who most people say is the main character of this film, and I honestly agree, and that's Cersei.
Yes, she is. Yeah. She is the main character.
I say Cersei is, as a character, she's really good.
Yeah, I liked her story.
Yeah, it's mostly just she has to pick up from where Ajax left off as the leader of the Eternals, but she's unsure of herself, which is a common storyline, but honestly, I have nothing against it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also shows that she has conflicting feelings between, say, both her devotion to Arishem and how she feels about humankind, just protecting them and such.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that's natural and such, but she also learns of their true purpose, what they were created for and such. The whole emergence thing.
Mm-hmm.
They put protect humanity above serving the Celestials, which is good. We'll admit that it does come back to bite them in the ass at the end, but we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Cersei is a character I did like. I also like that her character also introduces us to the character of Dane Whitman, who, to those who read comics, is the Black Knight. And while I don't know much about the Black Knight himself, I will say Dane Whitman in this movie was cool.
Yeah, he was alright for the like brief moments he was in it.
Yeah, he's not in this film for too long. I think his collective screen time is about 20 minutes.
Maybe.
And this movie's 2 hours and 37 minutes, so...
Yeah,
that's
too long. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's too long. All right. On to the next character. I feel like we said all we could about Ajax.
I mean, yeah, she was just there for a bit in flashbacks.
Yeah. Ajax is the leader, but she also just like...
she was the mom of the group.
Essentially.
Basically.
She also has conflicting thoughts between serving Arishem and protecting humanity. But again, she chooses humanity over her true cause of the emergence, which is totally fine. And she is the one who allows the other Eternals to go on and live the lives they want.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much all her character does.
Yeah, essentially.
All right, let's move on to who I feel are the only other characters we could really say a whole bunch about. First off, we have Thena.
Oh yeah, Wonder Woman.
Yes, so as you can see, there's a lot of.
I liked her character, to be honest. Her story arc was pretty fun to like watch it develop.
Yes, though much like the character she ends up killing at the end, I feel like that storyline was kind of pointless.
In a way, yes, but I mean, like, it worked for like her character, I think.
I guess so. The thing with Thena's character, she's suffering from something called mad weary, which basically means she loses all sense and attempts to fight anyone within the vicinity, friend or foe.
Yes.
We eventually learn this is because of, again, major spoiler, the Celestials are actually just like cosmic robots. They're designed to serve a purpose, and after that purpose is served, their memories are wiped and they start over. Mad weary is the cause of those memories flooding back into the person they used to be. So Athena is basically recalling stuff she did in her past. Now it's making her go crazy and attack people, blah, blah, blah. But again, with all that's going on in this film, the whole mad weary subplot feels pointless.
Kind of, but I don't know. I feel like it was done better, like, than the evolving deviant one, at least.
To a degree, yes. I mean, in this film, we learn what mad weary is. We learn what causes it. She goes through it. I guess she gets over it at the end when she kills Crow, but that's really it. This felt like one of the most needless subplots. I don't know. That's just me. I don't hate Athena as a character. I think she's dope. She has some cool ass fight scenes, but other than that, the whole mad weary thing, I'm just not on board with it.
It was all right. Yeah, I think it it wasn't the worst thing ever.
All right, now for the section that's gonna piss Emmanuel off, Sprite.
Oh yeah, I fucking hated Sprite.
Yeah, so Emmanuel hates Sprite. I think Sprite was just, yeah, Sprite was very and the biggest reason why is it's kind of the reverse of Icarus. She mainly only, okay, so Sprite is an Eternal who forever looks like a child. She doesn't know why. She's very curious as to why the Celestials made her that way, and it really annoys her. But she also has a thing for Icarus, even though Icarus has a thing for Cersei, so he doesn't really pay attention to her, and he doesn't really care. I think he just sees her as nothing more than like a sibling figure.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so when Icarus turns, she joins him out of just blind devotion and blind loving faith for him. Like, I don't even think she actually wants to see the emergence go through. She just wants to be by Icarus's side.
I think she doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Like, either way, to be honest.
But, yeah, Sprite isn't bad, but the whole blind devotion thing, it just didn't feel like a path worth following.
Yeah. I mean, I can sympathize with, like, it must suck to look like a kid because, you can't do adult stuff, but I mean, I don't know. It didn't work for me. She was not, I don't know. I didn't like her character, to be honest.
I guess, but at the same time, you'd think they would come up with some kind of excuse for why she continuously looks like a kid, get her an ID that does state she's over 21. They have so many means to bypass this that they just ignore it.
I mean, I don't know, because, the design of them is, like, I guess, up to the Celestial, so, like, that one is just, like, whatever.
Yeah, all right. So, Sprite now, let's get on to characters who I feel don't get enough love, and they definitely deserve it.
No, I do love Druig. If we're talking about Druig, I love that guy.
Oh, yeah, Druig. I will admit, when I first saw him, Druig gave me Light Yagami if he was a Sith Lord vibes.
That man is basically what I would do.
Yeah, so Druig has the power to control people's minds and make them do whatever he wants, so turn them into puppets. That really scares me when Emmanuel says he would do those things, but outside of that, Druig is probably the character who questions his purpose the most, which I feel is really good, but it also makes you question him since he can control other beings.
I mean, I don't know, because again, he's the character I related to the most because, I also often question my existence as you do. It's good to ponder existential things every now and then. But, when you have a power to, like, control others and basically be a god, it comes with responsibility. And, he, for the longest, was like, I could stop everything, like killings and everything. But he couldn't because of, what was your name again?
Ajax.
Ajax, yeah. God damn it. There's so many names to remember.
Yeah, that's also a thing I've heard about this film is that a lot of people feel like they're going to forget names. I surprisingly haven't forgot the names yet. They're just staying in my head.
I mean, to be fair, the more notable ones are like, based off of legends. So that's it's not that hard for some of them.
Okay, so yeah, we did think Druig was good. If honestly, the whole turn at the end, I was expecting him to do it with the way he's like written and the way he's described in this film, and the fact that it didn't happen actually did surprise me.
What turn? You mean like
when Icarus turned? I was expecting that to be Druig, but like it wasn't him.
Oh,
so
no.
Huh, cool.
No. I knew he wasn't going to.
Sure, you did.
I mean, yeah, because he wanted to use the powers for the good of humanity, not for like anything else. He wanted to save them. So like, why would he want to kill them then? To have the Celestial be born?
Hey man, sometimes people. Here's the thing. Sometimes people think the best thing you could do to save the human race is to wipe out the human race. We got a lot of villains with that plot.
I agree with that sentiment.
And that's the part that scares me. Okay, on to the next character. Let's talk about Kingo.
Who was that again? Oh,
Hollywood dude.
Oh, yeah. The comedic relief, basically.
Yes, essentially.
I mean, yeah, that's what he was, basically. Him and his sidekick, Butler.
Yeah, Karun. Karun was the best character.
He really was.
He was really entertaining.
Yeah, he was up there.
I feel like Kingo just doesn't have much of a purpose in this film. I feel like he's the most misdirected character.
No, I think he became like the most I guess the most human, to like put it like in a way. Like he became the most acclimated to becoming a person. So yeah, I mean, like he in terms of like story, I don't know if he adds much, but like in terms of like I guess presence, he's like you notice him. He's
Yeah, but
pretty. His scenes where he's in it are pretty enjoyable. So like, I'm not gonna say he was a bad character or anything. I pretty like much liked him, like the whole time.
yeah, but I feel as if, and this is another criticism I have with the film. Kingo is one of the two characters who's like blended into human society the most, and I feel like he has the biggest care for. So when the end just starts happening and shit hits the fan, he leaves.
Yeah,
That makes no sense. Like he wants to protect humanity as much as anyone else, and he just leaves.
I think it's because he knows, he can't. He's not stronger than Icarus.
Okay, I'm gonna get to that in a second. That's bullshit, but I'm not gonna talk about it now. But again, the fact that he just leaves, everyone else was willing to try. Even if they didn't stand a chance, they stood their ground, went against it, and it came out the way it came out. The fact that they were there to just try, and he just leaves. He up and gives up, no problem. This man cares about humanity, but when it's up against someone who's supposedly stronger than him, which is bullshit, he just leaves.
Was it? Wait, what was his power again? He could do like Kamehameha.
Finger blast.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I will admit that was a kind of a lame power. I wish it could have been interpreted differently, or if he had more variety to it. But other than that, again, when I compare to what he's building it up to and what actually happened, this dude could have done something, and he just up and leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see that criticism being, valid.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, now that I've gotten my Kingo rant out the way, let's get on to the other character who's blended into human society the most, Phastos.
Yes, the inventor, right?
Yeah, Phastos is probably, I'd say, the most interpreted because he actually has a family. He has a husband and a son.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it strange that initially he wants nothing to do with this, even though that it affects the livelihood of his husband and son.
Yes. Well, not livelihood. It affects their lives. They would die.
One way or another, you get what I'm trying to say. The fact that he's not on board initially, knowing the two people he cares about the most will die, just feels like, why are we having this conversation of convincing you? You should be on board immediately. But I get it. And I would feel like he has one of the best moments in the film because it says, or at least it implies, he had a role in the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki because we see him there at the fallout and he's just heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was the best scene of him in the whole film. Because then you get a general understanding of why he just left, why he wanted nothing to do with their cause anymore. Because even though he helped humankind advance in terms of intelligence and technology, that came at a cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Humans are pretty shitty, basically.
Definitely. So, yeah, I do enjoy that. So I guess I can forgive it that he's not initially on board. But again, the fact that the lives of the two people he cares about the most are on the line, and he does have a way of stopping it, or at least he has an idea of how it can be stopped. And I guess he's somewhat a part of the cause of why it happens. He should have just hopped on board pretty much immediately. But that's just me.
Yeah.
All right. So now to my favorite character, Makari. I love Makari.
Any reason?
I will say it's because I have a bit of bias towards characters with super speed. If I could have, yes, yeah. if I could have one superpower in the world, it would be super speed. But
I think I would. That's also up there for me.
Yeah, but outside of that, the best way I could put it is I love the fact that her kind of character is being represented, and while she's not the most developed character, what they did with her and what they gave her still made her really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, she had development, even though she wasn't like in it for like very much, but
Mm-hmm. So to those who haven't seen the film or aren't going to see the film, but here's the thing: Makari, both in the film and her actress, she's deaf. Yeah, so she speaks in sign language, and what I love is that everyone else around her also knows sign language, so that wasn't a hurdle for them, which is cool. In fact, I read this after we saw the movie. A bunch of people, including myself, after seeing Eternals and seeing Makari in that film, want to learn sign language. I want to learn sign language.
I do too. but
Yeah.
mainly because I want to learn every language.
Fair
Or as
enough.
many as I can. You know, that's one of them.
That's still good. But again, like I just love Makari in this film. Also, she proved my point of that Icarus being the strongest thing is bullshit because she pretty much ran his fade, literally.
Yeah.
Like she put in the most work. It was between Makari, Fastos, I think Druid a bit. Mostly just Makari and Fastos. They ran his fade, no problem. Like I've heard people compare what Makari did to Icarus to what the Flash can do in Injustice, which is dope as hell.
Yes.
So just seeing that is just like, yes, Makari, you're awesome.
I also got that same vibe. God, I love Injustice. Such a good game.
Yeah. We'll talk about Injustice some other time. So let's talk about the mid-credit and post-credit scenes. So we got to get into the ending of the film. The film ends with the Emergence stopping due to something called the Unimind, which connected all the Eternals together. And Cersei uses her power to seal away the deviant that is emerging out of the earth. So there's just a hand and a head in the earth now.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to explain that later. I can't wait to see what happens. But they stop the Emergence. Icarus flies off into the sun. Don't worry, he'll get better.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then everyone just kind of tries to go back to the lives they had before. Then Arishem pulls up on Earth, takes away Cersei, Fastos, and Kingo, and just bounces. I'm not going to lie. That moment left me shook.
I mean, it felt kind of expected, but yeah, it came out of nowhere.
No, like it was expected, but I tried to put myself in the mindset of like the normal everyday people who had no clue this happened, and then Arishem just shows up out of nowhere and
just
dips.
seeing a giant thing in the sky.
Especially when you factor in that this is still post Endgame. Half the population just disappeared and came back, and now this thing shows up. So like,
all
what
the
fuck?
trauma. Yep.
Yeah, and okay, on to the mid-credit scene. The mid-credit scene involves Makari, Druig, and Thena talking about the disappearance of Cersei, Fastos, and Kingo. And they deduced that it was Arishem, because obviously.
Yes,
as for why he didn't take them, most people don't know. They say it's because they were in the ship, and I guess he couldn't detect them there, but whatever.
That seems unlikely, but, let's let it slide.
Yeah, we'll let it slide because we don't have an answer at the moment. Outside of that, we also get the introduction of another character. Two characters. First off, Pip the Troll, who's voiced by Patton Oswalt. And won't lie, the CGI on him wasn't that good.
It was not, yes.
Nah, that's definitely on the low tier for Marvel there. But we also get introduced to the character of Eros, also known as Star Fox.
Yes.
Right, so Eros is the brother of Thanos.
And is not purple for some reason.
That's okay. So I got to get into the comic reason of that. The reason Thanos is,
I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna get it out of the way for context sake. The reason Thanos is giant and purple is because he has a deviant gene. So he's technically an Eternal, but he has a mutation.
Okay.
Yeah. So Eros is in this film. He shows up in the mid-credit scene. He says he knows where Cersei, Fastos, and Kingo are, and he says he can help the others find them. So
who was he played by again?
Harry Styles.
Oh yeah. I was like, there was somebody noteworthy who was playing him.
Honestly, I didn't learn that till afterwards, but that's because like I paid no attention to what happened to boy bands after they break up.
Yes.
All right. So aside from that, I guess this also does a bit more world building because the existence of Eros and what he's doing also proves that other Eternals learned of their true purpose and their fate and just, I guess, rebelled.
As you do, it's natural to rebel against.
Yeah, but that also implies Thanos knew as well. Like, that's another theory that Thanos knew what was going to happen. That's why he wiped away half of the universe.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, from the very beginning, I was always pro Thanos. His ideology, this too, adding to it, he was a good guy, What were they doing? What were they thinking?
Your positive affirmation for wiping out half of existing life concerns me.
You know what? I think Thanos just had good intentions. I mean, not that matters because, lots of bad things happened with good intentions, but, I'm just saying. I don't think he was in the wrong entirely.
Anyway, So yeah, this also, I guess, is a bit of sequel bait for what would happen if we got a second Eternals movie, or at least what would happen in the backdrop if the Eternals are doing this while something else is going on. And I will say, Eros' existence in this film does concern me, or at least in this film universe, because in the comics, Eros' main ability is to make women fall in love with him.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yes, but I feel like this is the wrong era for that superpower.
It is. I mean, like, what's that gonna do?
This man is the Me Too movement's worst nightmare.
For real.
But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with him if they give him that ability or if they change it up a bit. I'm not sure. Again, Druig being able to just willingly control people scares me more, but also like this just makes me feel not okay.
I mean, it's Harry Styles, it's understandable.
I guess, but like outside of that, I am interested as to what happens next. Now we have the post-credit scene, which is more Dane Whitman because he desperately needed to be in this film more.
Yes.
So
I had no idea what was going on. So like, you speak about it.
All right. So again, to those who are out of the loop, Dane Whitman is a character known as the Black Knight, who's a really cool character. I don't know a lot about him, and I don't read his books that much, but from what I've heard and what I've researched, he's a dope dude. So he went to grab a family heirloom known as the Ebony Blade, which the user, after countless uses, will really give into their bloodlust and want to kill more. I feel like that's a weapon you would enjoy.
I don't know. I don't like being controlled, so probably not.
I could go on a tangent there, but for the sake of time, I won't. Anyway, the freaking Ebony Blade is calling to him, and we hear a voice in the background saying if he's sure he wants to do that. And I looked it up in some interviews that the director of this film, Chloe Zhao, confirmed that voice was the actor Mahershala Ali, who's playing Blade.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah, so Blade and the Black Knight have an interaction with one another, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have no idea about any of this, so like, it's just cool to know.
I can confirm to you that Blade is a dope-ass character.
I can tell just by the name, to be honest.
Yeah, but I guess it's more build-up for stuff to come later. We don't know what it is, but it's cool to see and talk about.
World building.
Okay, now I guess we can get into our general consensus on this film. I might go on one last rant before we change, but overall, we can agree that we like this movie.
Yeah.
Now for the rants. This movie is getting critically lambasted for reasons I just feel are... I want to use another phrase, but then people would get on my ass for insulting a community of people. So I'm just going to say that the ones critically lambasting this movie are wasting their time on stupid shit.
I mean, that's the internet, so like, what are you expecting?
I mean, I'm not expecting anything, but at the same time, like, okay, first of all, I spoke about this with like a coworker of mine, and he basically said, if you're basing your opinion on movies off of Rotten Tomato scores, you have no business criticizing movies.
Yeah.
Or even watching movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so again, critics like really lambasted this film, which I feel is a bit unnecessary. Like it's got right now, Eternals has a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, but an audience score of 78.
Oh damn.
Yes, like okay. And again, people are saying that this is the worst MCU film, and I feel like they're really dragging it here.
I don't agree.
No, because like here's the thing: Thor: The Dark World and The Incredible Hulk still exist in the MCU.
Yes.
Those are the most worthless films, and you cannot change my mind. You could scrap Hulk from the MCU entirely and not miss anything.
Essentially.
And Thor: The Dark World, the only thing you need to remember about Thor: The Dark World is that it introduces the Reality Stone. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, just like, I forgot a lot of that movie. I only remember the basic details. Thor: The Dark World is the only MCU movie I've seen just once. I've even seen Incredible Hulk more times. That doesn't make sense. That film's more worthless, and I've seen it more.
Yes. Somehow. I don't know.
If I had to guess, probably like plane rides, and that's the only thing available.
I guess.
Yeah, but again, this film, like, it does. I would have not given it the critic score it's gotten. Like, I feel like it's getting really hammered for unnecessary reasons. Yes, this film is different, and that's both a good and bad thing, but at the same time, I feel like it's more down the middle than it is just straight bad. Yes, this film does overstay its welcome. It's way too long.
Yes.
And you really feel it towards the end. But again, even then, most of this stuff, you'll walk away feeling something, feeling some form of entertainment, enjoyment. You'll come out of this with some positives, which is true of any film. But I feel like people are too focused on the negative aspects, and that's why it's getting this bashing it has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you ask me, if I were the guy like making Rotten Tomato scores, this film would not be a 48%. This film would be high 60s, mid 70s at best.
Yeah. Fair. I mean, I would give it like an 8 out of 10.
All right. So you have your score. That's 8 out of 10. I'm going to agree with you there. This film is an 8 out of 10. I suggest everyone go see it and form your own opinion. Don't listen to any of this Rotten Tomato bullcrap or any other of these wannabe critics online. Just go see the film, take it all in, and leave with your own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's Eternals. God, we had a lot to say about that. Or at least I did.
Yes. Basically.
All right, so I guess we'll move on to the third film we saw, which technically should have been the first, but we didn't see it for a bunch of other reasons. And that is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just going to come out and say it. I think this is probably the best movie we saw.
It is, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Shang-Chi is just like so much fun.
It is very epic. I just can't really like pinpoint one thing I liked. I liked so much about it. Like, I don't know.
If anything, let me, I'm going to build off what I've said in the previous episode. I said I was very nervous about this film because I have a secret love of martial arts films. And this being that in an MCU film, I feel like the points that make it an MCU film would have dragged the martial arts parts, but it didn't. There's like a fair balance between everything. First of all, we can agree that the fight scenes in this film are straight flames.
Yeah, the choreography is really good.
It's amazing. Like, I love every little bit of it. I think my favorite part is Shang-Chi's mother and his aunt when they fight. Because, like, I'll look at this and my inner geek is seeing this and he says, damn, these ladies are airbending their hearts away.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's really dope. But yeah, the fight choreography is just like really smooth. It's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That also makes me excited for future films if Shang-Chi appears in it, because you know he's getting the best fights in those films.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I guess we got to do it like we can do this as we've done the other films. We got to start from certain points. So I guess we'll get like the general narrative out the way. Shang-Chi's father.
That's the first thing they show you.
Pretty much. Shang-Chi's father has the 10 rings. He's a warlord. He was known as many names throughout history. I can't name them all because I don't remember them all. And he used the 10 rings to basically conquer everyone who went against him and basically form an organization that existed in the shadows, causing a bunch of shit, blah, blah, blah. But there was one thing that managed to stop him and put his whole tyrannical ruling to an end. And that was the love of his life.
Love. The best and worst thing to ever happen to you always. God damn.
Who hurt you, child?
No one, not recently.
Anyways, yes. After meeting the love of his life and having 2 kids, I didn't say his name, but Shang-Chi's father, whose real name is Wenwu, and I guess he's technically the Mandarin. He never directly calls himself that in that film. He references it, but he never actually refers to himself as that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just, for the sake of consistency, continuously refer to him as the Mandarin, or I'll jump back and forth between Mandarin and Wenwu.
No. We've been through this.
Have we?
You know what I call him, right? Daddy 10 Rings, baby.
Yes, that's Emmanuel's pet name for him. I'm going to refer to him as either Mandarin or Wenwu, whereas Emmanuel will continue with Daddy 10 Rings.
Daddy 10 Rings. Oh, baby.
Anyways, after meeting the love of his life and having 2 kids, Wenwu retired his 10 rings. He sealed them up and just wanted to be a normal father. But then, you know, the past catches up with you and spoiler, huge spoiler, his wife died.
Yes.
Then he put on the 10 rings and decided to raise hell all over again.
Mm-hmm.
From there, he trained Shang-Chi to be an assassin from when he was 7 and sent him on his first hit mission when he was 14. Now, I'm actually directly quoting from the film at that point. But
yeah, I know. I remember that.
But he couldn't live with himself, so he just stood in America and lived like 10 years, the next 10 years of his life as free as possible. But as I said before, the past always catches up with you, and his father in the most polite way possible, sends people with the intent to kill them, or at least the intent to take something from him, disguised as trying to kill him, to see if his son is actually still surviving because he needs him for something else.
Yeah.
And then we eventually get the introduction of Shang-Chi's sister, who I'll let Emmanuel say her name because he loves saying
Shu
it.
Xiaoling. I fucking love her.
Yes.
Her name.
Shu Xiaoling.
Her character was also pretty good, but I like saying her name.
Yeah, so, oh yeah, actually no, I'll get back to her later, but we get the introduction to Shu Xiaoling, and there's also, again, there's a lot of cool moments in this film. I feel like the intro fight scene we get of Shang-Chi on the bus is just...
Oh, that was really well done. Yeah, that was top notch.
That is amazing, man. But outside of that, then we get the introduction to his sister is also a fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically kicks the shit out of him.
I mean, yeah, you know.
More or less. I honestly feel like the fight
angry.
was fair, but then like that last hit made it feel like it was something out of Mortal Kombat, like fatality.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get a cool introduction to her. Her role in the story is dope too. It shows that the common, I don't know if I can call it a stereotype, but just the common mindset that certain cultures will not allow women to fight for X, Y, and Z reasons. But Shu Xiaoling said, fuck that, and decided I'm going to fight too, or at least I'm going to learn how to defend myself. And then she left. She formed a whole freaking fight ring on her own, which I just love and I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Because this is a Marvel movie and it's always referencing itself, Wong from Doctor Strange is in here.
Yes.
And he fights Abomination from Incredible Hulk.
I know, that was the most random thing ever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a dope scene too. Then another cool fight scene happens, which involves a lot of building acts, like they're on scaffoldings and such, and I just thought that was dope.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the return of Emmanuel, say the name.
Oh, Daddy Ten Rings.
Yes, and he brings his son, his daughter, and Sean's friend, Katie, played by Aquafina. Yes. He brings them back to the Ten Rings headquarters, his home, and he kind of explains why he came after them, that he's been told, or at least he hears his wife's voice in his head saying that she's sealed away somewhere and that he needs her to free her.
Yeah.
Or he needs him to free her. Just being totally okay with that. No questions asked. He devises this plan to basically invade his mother's homeland.
Yeah.
Or invade their mother's homeland. Mm-hmm. And go unseal her. Like, he doesn't question this at all, but I guess love makes you blind and kind of stupid.
Yes, it does.
Like, everyone's done some dumb stuff out of love.
Yes.
Yeah, so
100%.
Not questioning this at all. And so Shang, Xiaoling, and Katie are definitely against this because they just don't believe it's real.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Then they learn the truth about like where their mother originally came from. The place was called Ta Lo, which is a dope place because they have a lot of mythical creatures, and I'm always a sucker for stuff like that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And basically they learn the truth of what happened when their mother left, when she left Ta Lo at least. And they meet their aunt, who's also a dope character. Mm-hmm. And we basically see, I can only call it what it's actually depicted as, a training arc where they all learn to, or at least improve their fighting to prepare for what their father is going to bring in order to revive his wife.
Yeah.
And it's dope. We get more insight on Sean's character, which I basically broke down at the beginning, how his father trained him after the death of his mother to be a killer, blah, blah, blah. You remember all that from like a couple minutes ago. Mm-hmm. So then we get essentially the final fight.
Yeah.
And the final fight is dope as hell.
Daddy Ten Rings versus the people of the village.
Yes. So this is Madara versus the 4th Division.
Essentially, yes.
Actually, no. That's not really fair because like
it's not that one-sided.
No, it isn't. Like everyone else is just, this is a fair army fight, no problem. Mm-hmm. But then we get what I call the most main character thing possible. Is like when Shang is defeated, but not really defeated. He'll be back. So he gets back up, and because he's technically Wenwu's son, and Wenwu controls the 10 rings. When he shoots 5 of them, they don't come back because lo and behold, they work for his son now.
Yeah, somehow. I mean,
That's not somehow. I felt like that was the most predictable thing. I blame the trailers a bit, but I've already spoken my piece on trailers and stuff. But
yes.
Here's the thing. That felt so predictable after he like found inner peace. That's the best way I could describe it. And then like just, hey, I technically am part of you, so the 10 rings should work for me the same.
That makes sense.
That and his wife actually turned the 10 rings against him when they first met. So
yeah,
that makes even more sense.
Mm-hmm. With her super cool fighting technique.
Yeah, with her air bending.
Her dancing fighting technique, air bending.
Oh yeah, I'd say I would probably like their fight scene the most because it just feels like dancing. And I'm a sucker for dancing.
They just are dancing. They're like, I think I like you. I mean, they never say it, but you could
see it in their face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where was I? I was talking about the fight.
Yeah.
Okay. So eventually his son takes all the 10 rings against him. And
he's gonna Kamehameha his ass.
Yes, again, I said the most main character thing ever. And like he's about to do it, but he decides, no, you're my father. I can't kill you. But his father, just like I said, not being the most sane individual at the moment, accidentally unleashed something that eats souls.
A big ass dragon thing.
I'm not even sure if this thing was a dragon, but like I felt very Final Fantasy vibes from it. Like this is a Final Fantasy boss.
It felt like a video game.
Definitely. And
because of the giant monsters at the end.
Oh yeah, there was also a dragon that Shang rides because of course.
From Spirited Away. It was Haku.
See, you remember Spirited Away and I don't.
Yes.
Anyways, and this is the final battle between like the giant Soul Eater. Not Soul Eater by Atsushi Kubo, but the Soul Eater monster thing and the dragon. Mm-hmm. And then we have another showing of Shang doing the Kamehameha, which destroys the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end,
That's about it. Like,
essentially, yeah. We have like the bunch of the end credit stuff. We have them honoring the death of the people who lost their lives in this fight.
Mm-hmm. We
have Shang and Katie explain this to their other friends who don't believe them. Then Wong shows up and they're like, oh shit, you were telling the truth. And then they just go on to inspect the 10 rings. And they say like they're sending out a signal to something and they don't know what it is, which I like as build up for later events because of course I'm into that shit. And then we have the post credit scene. And
Xu Xiaoling. Yeah, she took over the fucking 10 Rings organization.
Yeah, she reformed it. So basically, the fighting ring she founded merged with the 10 Rings.
Yeah, epic.
It's pretty cool. And I also love that the end of this film says the 10 Rings will return.
Yeah.
So
I mean, doesn't it usually say that?
Yes, but I like the fact that it says the 10 Rings because I feel like it's referring to just the organization now run by Xu Xiaoling. And not Shang specifically, even though he is the main character and you can expect him to return. But I like how there's a lot of focus on this specifically. Kind of like how Infinity War ended with Thanos will return. And then we had the way Thanos returned, even though the way Endgame began. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just like it. Again, overall, we really like this film.
Yeah, it was for sure the best one. I would rewatch it.
Definitely. So, and as per usual, when it comes to MCU films, there's a lot of talk about villains, and I guess we'll discuss it. Is Wenwu really a villain per se?
No. He was just a poor grieving father.
Yeah, definitely. He was a love-struck idiot.
Yeah, Daddy 10 Rings.
Yeah. I'm not going to defend him, but I will say you should start questioning when you're hearing voices in your head telling you to do stuff. Outside of that, just what else can we say about this film? Fight choreography was amazing. The characters are developed really well. I'm surprised at how much I liked Awkwafina in this film. I think that's because like I had no prior experience with Awkwafina, so I was a bit iffy on her. I know she's does comedy, but I had never watched any of her stuff, so I was a bit, oh god, she's gonna be a comic relief character. And we know how Marvel comic relief characters are; they can be annoying at times. But no, she was actually really good. Overall, we enjoyed the movie.
Yes.
This is hands down probably the best movie we saw out of the three.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like if I had to rank them, Shang-Chi is number 1, Eternals is number 2, and Let There Be Carnage is 3rd.
Yeah, we basically reviewed them or spoke about them in ascending order.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
I mean, we technically did that with the last episode because both Black Widow and Snake Eyes were mid. One was just more mid than the other.
Yeah.
outside of that, what would you rate this movie out of 10?
Almost a 9. Like
You're going almost. I'm directly giving it a 9.
I think like an 8.7. Maybe.
8.7. That's a pretty decent score. I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, highly recommend. Go see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yes. The Legend of Daddy Ten Rings.
All right. So those are some good movies. Like, not really much we can say about upcoming films outside of just Spider-Man No Way Home, because that film has so much expectations and things going for it.
Yes.
But
basically.
Yeah. So I guess the next movie episode will probably be wholly to that. Like, I want to do an episode where we talk about all Spider-Man films, but I can't guarantee we'll see all those Spider-Man films at once. Yeah, maybe over time, but just like, I have no promise that we'll have seen all currently 7, about to be 8 Spider-Man films before then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess stay tuned for whatever the next movie episode is, and I guess stay tuned for our next episode in general. So yeah, again, thank you all for listening to this episode of the NullNVoid podcast. As always, we are 2/3 of Team Null. I'm Aaron.
Emmanuel.
And we'll catch y'all next time. Peace, love, hair grease.
Later.